Oh, I guess we're not early. I was like, oh, well, we're early, but
we're not early. And we're live. And how do we have a thumbs up already? Nobody's even watching, but we've already got one thumbs up and we're live. It looks really washed out. Eli, flip the light switches over there for me, please. Turn the other one. That's really bad.
I told you that we're normally not right under it, but you didn't listen to me.
So what do we need to do?
We need to move more that way.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe put that over there. He said he thumbs up us. Don't kick my stuff.
Who said he thumbs up us?
He's moving my seat stuff.
Is that better?
I don't know. You're more picky than me. I would have been fine with the way that it was. Apparently, it's the Cassie show tonight. And that's it, folks. We'll see you next week.
That's better, I think. Do you think? Or do I need to move it over here?
Bye, Felicia. Look, he's all picky. You can see all my. This is where I make seats right here. So I have my board and all of my supplies.
Who are you talking to, by the way?
I'm talking to Ben and Julie and Chrissy and anybody else who's watching, who has stayed during his.
Ugh.
It's fine. You're the only one that makes me look super white.
That's what I was just thinking. I think it was better when it was over there.
And Gina, was her name before then? No. Look, he's moving the stuff around so much. I'm having a hard time seeing stuff.
That's better, I think.
Thank you. Are you done?
I think so.
So, welcome to the Dustin and Cassie show.
How many minutes are we in already? Almost 3 minutes in. Yeah. I don't know what we needed to do. Not sit right underneath that light, apparently. It still looks really washed out to me.
I'm telling you, we're normally not right here.
Okay. My sister's watching. Hey, Ree. So, this is episode 51 of the Dustin and Cassie show, starring Dustin. Waiting for you to say your name. You don't know your name?
No.
Her name's Cassie. Or Kathy to some people, I suppose. People who don't know how to say her name right or think.
They don't ever say Kathy. They say Casey.
Well, no, there's people that think.
If I say it over the phone, they think Kathy.
Kathy. It's Cassie. So
we're too close together.
You know who? It's because we don't have the leaf in the table.
I'm telling you,
you know who we haven't seen in chat in quite a while?
Who?
The Sofrancos.
Yes. I talked to her recently.
Cindy?
Yes.
Hey, Michael. Okay, so let's see. Hi, Ben. Hi, Julie. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Gina. Hey, Dallas. Hey, Ree. Hey, Michael. Hey, John. I saw a picture John posted on Facebook this week of somebody wrote on an engine of an airplane that said "Warsh me," and the R was actually there. So the R is supposed to be silent, according to Zach. But anyway, so this is episode 51. We haven't done a live episode in a few weeks. Does it sound okay?
See, it doesn't look bad on their end. It just looks bad on ours.
Just looks bad on ours. It's just apparently my laptop screen settings. Maybe. I don't know.
So it was you.
It's just me. Okay. It looks good on her end. Sounds good. Good. I always wonder if the microphone's actually, if it's on the right microphone or not. But yes, it's definitely on the right microphone. So, I don't remember what the last time it was. This is the first episode of 2020. It's been that long since we've done an episode. The last episode, episode 50,
we're 11 days in.
Which means we should have had at least one episode already.
Okay, well, it's not like it's been like 2 months.
No. But
we're early for We Tree, I think.
Yeah, we are. I think we probably are. The last episode, episode 50, as y'all know, was not a live episode because we did it in Branson, and I put it all together, put all the videos together and uploaded it. So I was kind of hoping to bring Daisy in tonight and have her in on, but we got snow today. And she is a wet, hot mess. And so Max normally keeps himself clean in the rain and all that kind of stuff. But him and her have been out there playing, and he is a muddy, hot mess, too. I thought about taking a picture of him and sending it to the breeder that we got Daisy from and be like, your dog's a bad influence on my dog. He's all filthy, and he wasn't like this before.
Well, she's like that anyways. She is constantly in the stuff. And so I noticed last night that she was really, really messy. And that's okay. Like, that's what we part of what we wanted her for was to have a playmate for Max.
Right. And they definitely play a lot. So that's good.
She
it's good
didn't
for him
him at first, but she likes him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing, we might as well talk about the other animal thing right now while we're at it. Do you want to bring him on in here or no? Okay. He's resting.
He's not having a good night.
Our
Max will be 4 next month.
Arranged marriages.
Yeah, for our cats.
The other thing, our cats. So we have our big tomcat Bandit. I don't know if do we have a picture of him? I have pictures that you sent me. He's a big gray and white tomcat. He's a big lover boy. I'll show that picture. So you can see there, right below his eye, there's a big dark spot. But in 2 weeks ago tomorrow? Or 2 weeks ago Monday? 2 weeks ago Monday, he come up on the deck, and Eli and the Hutzer girls were like...
No, it was like a Thursday.
No, it was a Monday.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Anyway, he was all beat up. He was dragging his front right leg. There was a big chunk taken out of his tail, like fur was missing. There was a big patch of fur missing from his left thigh, and there was a big gash in his right thigh. So
you know what? You probably are right. It probably was Monday or Tuesday. I forgot we had him for a couple days before we took him to the vet.
So, anyways, I looked him over, and found the gash on his thigh. So I cleaned that up because it had dirt and stuff in it. Put some oils on it. Put oils and stuff on the gash on his tail. And
Don't go hating on us.
And everything's healing up nicely, but to his leg, his leg is just hanging there. And I watched him walk, and you could see it moving at the shoulder, but everything else below the shoulder just kind of was hanging there, and he's dragging it. He was still trying to use it like we brought him in the inside because he was just had himself all curled up in the cat house outside. And I'm like, dude, you're hurt and bad. Let's bring you inside with a little, so you can have some comfort in that. So brought him inside. And
we all wanted him inside, thank you.
Yeah. But I'm the one that actually went into the cat house and got him out of there.
You wouldn't let anybody else do it. You told us no.
Because I was afraid that he might attack them. I mean, an injured animal has a liability to attack. So if anybody's going to get attacked, it's going to be me. It's not going to be them. So Ben said we were just talking about the family cat Muffin who had a few nasty injuries in his life. So we took Bandit in to the vet. Move it in closer. And yep, he for sure has a broken leg. So just for the visit and the x-rays, and they gave him antibiotic, a painkiller, and
a rabies shot.
A rabies shot was 140.
Well, and they cleaned off his tail.
They shaved it and did they put stuff on the wound there?
No, she just shaved it.
So
it was $133
for that. Now, if we were going to have his leg amputated, it was going to be $410 to have it surgically, put back together and put a plate on was be $800. And what did you say the vet's assistant said?
Well,
because she had to take him. I was on the road.
So I took him and we're in there, and I wish I kind of would have recorded a little bit of it because he was super calm, patient. The vet was really impressed with. She said he's a really good cat. And so she said she could tell it wasn't from any bite marks or anything like that, or he didn't get hit by a car or anything like that. But so I asked her, I said, okay, like, I know this is going to sound rude or whatever, but I said, I need to know all these things so I can talk to my husband. I said, how much is the surgery? And what, is his quality of life going to be after that? And the surgery to have it removed would be $430. That's with the medication and everything. That's like walking out the door, $430. She said it would probably take him a while, but eventually he would learn how to be okay with just the 3 legs. He could be back outside, whatever. And then I said, okay, how much to euthanize him? And I said, I know that sounds bad, but I don't have $400. And she said it's $40 to euthanize him. And I said, okay, so I know that sounds bad. I said, but I don't have $400 and something for surgery or the $800 to put a plate in it. And the assistant goes, it's just a cat.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what'd you say? And then she thought she offended me. And I told her, I said, no, you didn't offend me at all. I said, we get a lot of hate because we say that it's just a cat. But that's the thing is that it's just a cat. Now, and granted, I am like really sad. And I told him, I said, I wish that we could just pay the $430 to get it removed because I would hate to see him die. He is a very, very good cat.
And he was, they even he was all loving up on the vets and everything. And I mean, he's a big lover boy. I mean, like you go outside on the deck, before he would jump up on the hand railing and walk right up to you and put his head up to you like this and rub up on you. And he just loves people. I mean, he's he's the biggest cat we got. What does he weigh? What did we weigh him at? Like 10 pounds, I think. Did they weigh him there?
They weighed him there with the basket. It was like 17 pounds.
With the basket?
Or with the crate, with his crate. They weighed him with the crate and it was 17.
But he's not, he doesn't weigh, he's only like 10 pounds. So, but Eli weighed him one time. So everybody's asking like what happened to him. So we don't know for sure. Like we didn't see it happen, but we've had 2 dogs that have been coming up to our place. We don't know if they're stray dogs. We kind of think they're our neighbor dogs down the road, but they have no collars on them, and they were coming right up on our deck and eating our cat's food. And we've been shooing them away, tell them to shot them with Eli's BB gun and everything. Well, then, I'm not talking about that. I don't care. So then he shows up. Like that. So I'm like, okay, so now we've never had any issues with our cats before with these kind of injuries. And then we have these dogs showing up that are eating our cat's food. And I've seen the dogs on our deck growling and biting at each other over the cat food. So these dogs act like they're starved.
They've been down at the house below us. And so I'm pretty sure that's where they belong. But when we cleaned his wounds out, we found a thorn in it. So our guess is that they probably were chasing him. And he went through, like, along our fence line is bushes and thorn bushes and all kinds of stuff. So I'm pretty sure he got caught up in the barbed wire fence.
But the barbed wire fence is not what broke his leg or anything. I'm pretty sure that those dogs got a hold of him.
But she said that she said that there was no indication of dog marks because there was none of them was any kind of that. He probably ran into something. He was running, hit the log or something. She agreed with me on that. She said that there's no way that the dogs themselves grabbed him because they would have had teeth marks on him. He had no teeth marks on him.
What do you call the puncture on his thigh and the spot on his... She said
those was not dog bite. Those was not from a dog. She agreed that she thought it was from like a bush or the fence. Just saying. She said there was no marks for like he'd been hit by a car or anything.
I think it's the dogs. I'm blaming the dogs.
But I'm saying she did say that they could have been. She said more than likely that's what happened, is that he was running from them, and he went through the bushes.
Okay. But anyways,
up a tree. He could have fell off the tree.
Cats always land on their feet.
They don't always land on their feet, but who knows? We'll never know what really happened.
So we're not paying to have his leg amputated because we don't have the $400. We're not paying, obviously, to have the leg surgically fixed. But she said the other option we had is we could basically keep him in an enclosed small space for 2 months and give the leg a chance to heal somewhat on its own. So we've got our big, large dog crate that we put him in with a kitty litter box and what is it? Is that a towel or a blanket or something that's in there with him? And then his food and his water. So he basically just has to lay there all day long and give his leg a rest. We bring him out, and hold on to him and pet him and love on him. And he's all just purring like crazy when we do that. But
we've only done that once because he really needs to stay in the crate.
Right.
And it sounds cruel, but he needs to stay in to see if it will heal on its own. She doesn't think it will, but she said it won't hurt him at all to do that. And so when he sees us, we go back there and talk to him, and
he's right there outside Eli's room.
Yeah, it's not like he's by himself secluded. But the one thing with cats is that they don't get anxiety like what people do, or dogs do with being alone. So, or being like closed up.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. I don't want to put him down. It makes me really sad.
Yeah, I don't want to either.
And I wish that we could just fix it. But I am giving him extra things to try to help with his bone growth. So maybe it will.
You feed him chia seeds?
But you can do bone broth and stuff like that to help with bone growth. So if anybody else has any opinion on ways to help a cat's bones grow or, heal faster, I guess.
I wish they could have done something where they could have, set it where the bones were straight, put a splint on it or whatever to keep it in that position. But
you can't.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the bummer thing of him right now. So we're hoping his leg heals up and he'll be able to. I mean, I obviously know he's not going to be able to have it to be able to. But here's the thing. We had him here in the house, and he was sitting on a rocking chair over there, and we let Daisy in like the day or two after we got her. She was in running around, and we thought, well, she might not notice him. Well, he noticed her, obviously. He sits up, and then she noticed him then, and she went over nosing up to him. And even in his broken leg state, he's stood up. He reared back, and with his good paw, he slapped her across the nose. And she's and she went running clear to the other. So it's like, well, he hasn't lost any of his spunk. That's
then
for sure.
Then she came back in here and she started barking at
every time she goes back in here now, she barks at the rocking chair. He's not even there, but she barks at that rocking chair like he is there. It's funny.
Yeah. So.
But yep. So what else? We covered the animals. We went to Branson, which everybody saw. I guess everybody saw that video when we picked up Daisy. See truck driving. This past week, I was back to being flying solo. The week before that, I was training a guy. So I was home every night that week, which that was about the week of New Year's and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
seems like he's been home a lot. And then this week, he's gone again. Sucks.
I was gone last Sunday afternoon, got back on Friday, got my 3,000 miles in. Was supposed to, I picked up a load on Friday and brought it back to the yard with me, and was supposed to be going up by St. Louis tomorrow, which I didn't need to leave until I would have left the house at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. But after I got home, my boss gets a hold of me and says, well, everything that we planned just got changed, and they have a what they call an RLP load. That's a rolled pipe load, and that gets hauled on a what is it they call I call it a low boy trailer. It's a trailer that they use for hauling equipment and things like that. So the deck of the trailer is only like a foot and a half off the ground, and like the bottom and frame of the trailer only rides like this far off the ground. So that way it sits real low, so you can load equipment, front end loaders, things like that on it, and go down the road and still have a 13'6" clearance. And so this roll pipe is on these big X frames, and so that's why it has to be loaded on this drop deck trailer instead of on our normal flatbeds. So this load has to be in Odessa, Texas, Monday morning, and there's two other guys like in seniority ahead of me that normally would haul this, and the one guy doesn't leave out on, the one guy does leave out on Sundays, but Sunday's his wife's birthday, so he couldn't do it, and the other guy has a doctor's appointment on Monday, so then it falls to me. So now instead of leaving at 2 o'clock or 2:30 in the afternoon tomorrow, I've got to get up, at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and take off and head over there and drive all the way to Odessa, Texas, which I might be able to make it all the way there. It's like 620 miles from Siloam. So that means it's like 650 from Lowell. The most I've ever done in one day, I think, is 648. So I might be able to make it all the way there in all the way there in one day and then all the way back the next day, but probably not. More than likely I'll get back Tuesday morning with that load. So
I didn't realize you had to leave so early.
Yeah.
Literally 36 hours, folks.
So because it's all day driving getting there. So, and I because it's the time I leave here, it's 2 hours before, I get to work, get there, and it's 2 hours before I get to Siloam. And it's, like I said, it's pretty much, every bit of 10 and a half hours from here or from Siloam to there. So it'll be a 12, 13 hour day by the time you factor everything in. So yeah, I got to get started earlier rather than later. It'd be a lot better if we lived in Siloam, then I'd be like right there 15 minutes from work. But as is now, I have to drive 45 minutes from our house to get to Lowell, where I park my truck. And then it's a 45-minute drive from Lowell out to Siloam to pick up the load.
Man, I can't stop yawning.
You need some coffee?
No.
Can I have a drink of the water, please?
You don't have any water.
Oh, that's my cup. What's in that cup?
I don't care.
What's in that cup?
My water.
Kenny, is Kenny Johnson watching? I think Kenny's watching. She's got my cup.
Barely hold it. Holy crap, it's heavy.
There's no ice in it. Ice all melt. Kenny Johnson asked me one time here in the last week. He's like, is Eli like filling up that cup off camera? He's like, because I sit there and watch you, and he's like, that cup's got to be empty by now. But it's like, this cup is, look, it's a big cup. It's almost as big as my head. It's
probably the same inside.
It's rough. What is it? I think it's close to 40 ounces is what this holds, or 36 ounces.
It's a Walker special.
Yeah. It's a good cup.
Jeez.
Michael says that was your cup. Oh. It's still my cup.
I've been thirsty all day.
You can put ice in it for me? Anyway, so what did you have going on this week? We had bad storms last night, which resulted in snow and sleet today, but we had tornado warnings and tornado watches and flood warnings and all that all around us.
So we had to cancel Shabbat. Our Shabbat get together. That's what I meant.
Yeah, because the Crosses were supposed to come over, the Brubakers, the Woodsons, the Johnsons. Is there anybody else?
Mm-mm.
But then because of all the crappy weather, we're like, you know what? Everybody probably just better stay home. So it was just us and the Hutzlers here.
Seriously, I'm sorry, y'all.
You're boring.
I know. I am boring.
So what'd you do this week?
I just made seats.
You and Eli went somewhere yesterday.
I started back up on making seats. So I made a bunch in a couple days. And I'm making them for the Isaiah 46:10 conference. It's coming up real soon. And so I did that. What else did I do? Eli and I went to, well, I had a situation on Thursday. So earlier this week I got a flat tire. And
Boy, Thursday. Walmart.
So earlier in the week I got a flat tire, and friends of ours are staying here, and he came over and fixed it.
Put a plug in it.
And he put a plug in the tire, but it still was leaking, and so we're like, okay, well, there's something.
But it was a slow leak.
Super slow.
So like you fill it up the night before, you come back the next morning, and it'd be like what, 25 pounds or whatever.
Yeah, and so we filled it up, and we went to town, and then on Thursday, and we filled it up. I called them. They said I called them specifically, and I said, okay, my husband ordered tires. Are they in? And she asked for the name. She said, yes, they're in. Okay.
Should I tell my part of the story prior to that or no?
No.
Okay.
So he had called.
She doesn't want me to talk.
He had called and ordered 2 tires, and he specifically asked for the specific brand of tires, whatever. So I get there, and
I mean, I made sure, because like we have to order our tires in, and there's like 2 different model styles of the tire that we get. They have a sport style, which is the one we don't want, and then they have just the standard, the one that's not a sport. We ordered the ones we get because like they're BF Goodrich tires, and they stand up to the roads that we have around here. I mean, they hold up to the rough roads. So that's why we get them. That's why we don't get the sport, because the sport is not as beefier tires what the other one is. So I specified, made sure, okay, look, make sure these don't say sport. And Leia's like, no, it doesn't say sport. I'm like, okay. So
I get there.
And I ordered 2 tires.
So I get there, and she says, let me go look. Well, there's only 1 tire. And then she comes back over. She's like, well, she wrote 2, but there's only 1 over there. And I was like, okay, well, just do this 1 tire then. And then we have the 2
spares
tires to warranty out. And she said, well, we can only do, if we're only replacing 1, we can only do 1 right now. And I said, that's fine. So they're going to warranty it out. So then I said, I also need an oil change. Got that all figured out. And then Eli and I started walking around the store. Well, then they called me and said there was a problem. And so she was trying to talk to me. And I said, just a second. I said, I'm going to come over there and call my husband so you can talk to him, because I did not order the tires. I didn't know anything about the tires, whatever. I didn't know what he ordered, whatever. And so I went back over there. I called him. He finally answered, because you didn't answer at first.
Because I was down in Katy, Texas, which is the west side of Houston, and I was outside unloading my truck.
So when I walked up to them, they were trying to figure it out. Well, apparently, if you plug a tire, it voids the warranty.
The road hazard warranty.
Yeah. And so I'm like, well, we didn't know that. We've never had that issue. I'm like, I live in Madison County. And she's like, I live in Madison County too. She's like, I totally understand. So she said, I'm figuring it out. She says, we will give you the price or we'll do the warranty this time. But she said, we won't be able to do it next time. And I was like, fine. And so then he called. So then I handed her the phone and let her talk to him. Well, they had ordered the wrong tire completely. So not only did they not order 2 tires, they only ordered 1, but the 1 tire that they ordered was not the right tire.
It was the sport.
And so she talked to him, and then she came over and she got off the phone with him, and she looked at whoever she was with, and she's like, she said, he's dead set on this 1 brand of tires. And she said, I try to talk to him, whatever. And he's frustrated. And so she said, just plug or just try to fix the tire. Fix the tire enough to be able to, so she can get home safely. And so
they were going to
try to patch it. But the way that
I called back and I said, yeah, if they're going to go ahead and patch it, let them patch it. Just make sure that it's good, that you're going to be safe. So then she tells me that they said they can't patch the tire because it's the hole is right next to the plug. And I'm like,
she said there's nothing they can do about it.
I'm like, how retarded are you? Of course the hole is right next to the plug because the plug is what's
but it wasn't
holding the hole. It's supposed to be keeping the air in the tire because there's a hole there.
But it wasn't. There was another hole. There wasn't a hole that hole that plug was fine. There was another hole next to the plug.
So they didn't want to pull the plug out and patch that too. So they're just going to not do anything.
So it was just a hot mess.
Now, by the way, this is just that hole. If you plug it, voids the road hazard warranty thing is only specifically for the Walmart in Fayetteville.
No, she said that it's supposed to be like that everywhere. But
well, we've used other Walmarts and they don't ever, they've never told us that.
But okay, so anyways, so then I'm frustrated. I'm walking around the store and then I saw Philip and Gina in the store. And so they reminded me of the one place that I can get a used tire from. Because we had to order the tires again. And so I'm like, I'm just going to go straight home. I'm not going to go anywhere else. I'm just going to go home and I just won't go anywhere. And I called him. He was frustrated as all get out. And so he was kind of snappish with me. And finally we came to...
Is that facepalm? Is that the symbol that she put there? Is that for women?
Yeah.
Facepalm, women.
So we
or is that men? I don't know which. Well, the men has the arrow on it, right?
So I called around and we decided to go get a spare tire put on or a used tire put on, which was $40, but at least now, I'll have a tire. I'm not.
And then what did they do?
Well, then I told them that I needed the tire back because we have to warranty it out when we go Walmart. Get the other tires. We have to warranty it. And so I said, I need that tire back. Well, they put the wrong tire in the car. So then I get down the road. Because I didn't check. And I get down the road and something hit me. And I said, did they put the right tire in the car? And Eli looked at it and said, no. So at first I'm like, you know what? I said, I'm just going to act like I didn't know because I'm done. I can't. I'm crying at this point because it'd been a crappy day and it was raining and I was just over it. And I'm like, I'm just going to act like I didn't know. And then in my head, I'm like, Dustin's going to be so mad if I don't deal with this. And so I called him and I said, it's supposed to be this brand of tire, right? And he's like, yeah. And I said, they gave me the wrong one. He's like, well, you need to go back and get the other one. So then I called the company. Or I called that tire place and I told him, I said, you guys put the wrong tire in my car. And he's like, I'm really sorry. I said, I'm on my way back to get the right one. He asked me what kind it was. And so I told him. So then we got there and so I got there and he had the tire waiting for me and we checked and it looks like they patched it.
I need to go look at that.
And it looks like they did something to it. And so I was asking, I'm like,
is it still in the van, Eli?
I think I took it out and put it on the picnic table.
Where's that tire at, Eli?
It's either on the picnic table or it's in the van. It's in the van.
You should go get it so I can look at it.
So,
he says it's cold outside. Dude was outside playing in the snow earlier, but now when I want to go do something, he says it's too cold.
So, yeah. So it was just a crazy, like I cried on the whole way home. I was so frustrated. Something that should have taken us like 2 hours ended up taking us like 7 or 8 hours. And I was like, done. And like right now we're being super tight with our funds. And so we're not like going out to eat and stuff like that. And, I hadn't, like we were gone all day. It wasn't supposed to be that way. And so I had nothing prepared for Eli or for me. And so we were hungry and that made for me being angry. And then I was going to go to Chipotle because I had a reward for Chipotle for free salad. And so Eli and I was just going to split a salad until I could get us home. Well, apparently your points expire. And
After
I
60
didn't know
days?
that. So I'm glad I checked before I went inside, and I checked when we got there, and I was like, it says I have no reward. And so I was just super frustrated. And then I went to the store, and I've been super, super strict with my eating plan. And I didn't stay strict. So I bought Oreos and ice cream.
We haven't had any ice cream yet. I'll have to have that tonight.
It just was like, it was just a super crazy day. I was after 7:00 by the time I got home, and then I had to put food away, put groceries away, and then I had to figure out food for us. And I was just over that day. I was so glad when it was done. But I was really, really, really emotional. Just what it was.
She was a basket case. She just whacked me with her knee underneath the table.
It just was frustrating. And it's harder when he's not here. And then, you know, he was mad on the phone. He was mad at Walmart. And I get that he was mad at Walmart. But something that we're learning in our marriage, you know, after 14 years together.
I'm learning. She's already got it figured out.
Yeah. Is when we get frustrated with other situations, we're learning to not take it out on each other. And because that's what we tend to do. And so
It was on the picnic table, but it has water in it.
I thought I put it on the picnic table.
Okay, I'll just look at it tomorrow then.
But because
Are they both on the picnic table then?
No, I only could get one of them out of the van. I had to get it out of the van in order to get groceries out.
No.
But so he was super mad with the Walmart people. And I understood his frustration.
Still am thinking about going online and leaving a 1-star review on their store.
But the thing is they were really nice. They were not. She was super nice, trying to be helpful, and she was trying to make it work. She was going to give us the price that it was, even though they shouldn't have. And she,
you know why? But you know why it was a different price? Because it wasn't the right tire.
Okay,
that's why. Well, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at the lady that you talked to and dealt with. I'm mad at the lady that that ordered and did all the wrong stuff. Didn't order the right amount of tires, didn't order the right tire. I even asked the lady, is it this price? Because online, this tire is this price. She says, oh yeah, it was that price. And I'm like, it doesn't say sport, right? Because you have two different ones and it's the one that's not a sport. She's like, no, it doesn't say. So the lady, whoever it was, straight up lied, or is
she just didn't pay attention.
Whatever.
I think that it's Walmart. They just didn't pay attention. But what my point is that he was super frustrated. And then I was frustrated because I'm literally dealing with it and trying to figure out, okay, well, this isn't necessarily safe for me to drive home with a tire that is leaking air. There's certain parts, depending on where I go or which way I go home, that I don't have signal, and like I don't have a spare, whatever.
And at first I told her, I'm like, no, don't go and spend the money on getting another tire, because we're just going to order a new one. So we don't need to spend the $20 or $40 on getting another tire that we don't need, because we're just going to order the right one in a week. I'm like, you can just.
But him just saying it now is a lot nicer. Than
you can. I'm like, you can wait. You can wait a week, and if you have to go somewhere, you air up the tire before you go, and you don't dilly-dally when you get into town. You get what you need to do, and you get back, or you stop by a come and go or something and put air in it before you come back home. I'm like, I drove around on a tire for 2 months where I had to air it up before I left the house. I would drive to work. When I'd come back to work at the end of the week, the tire would be flat, and I'd have to drive it flat across the parking lot to the fuel island, air it up there to drive it home, to then have it flat before I left again on Sunday to have to air it back up. And I'm like, I did that for 2 months every week. You can do that for the one time you're going to have to leave to go into town for 1 week. But then I realized, like, I told her all that.
But again, he just said it way nicer than he said it to me on the phone, because he was really mad.
Right. I told her all that. I jumped out of the truck, got off the phone with her, jumped out of the truck, went and did something with a strap. And like 2 minutes or 3 minutes later, I called her back because I realized, hey, you know what? I have a spare tire in my car. Had that tire decided to just give up the ghost at some point in time and didn't want to take air anymore, I could have put the spare on and got on down the road. she doesn't have a spare tire for her van. We bought it used, and the spare donut or whatever has not been on there ever since we got it. So I'm like, that would leave her in a bad situation then if that tire just failed completely. So I'm like, I don't want her to do that. So then I called her back and said, yes, go spend the money. That way, for at least for the peace of mind for a week or however long it takes till we get the other tire in, you've got a good tire on there.
Hey, Marcy.
So, hey, Marcy's on.
But the thing was, is even when he called me and told me that, it still was not like a nice way of saying it. He was like really bitey with me about it. And so I hung up the phone. I was frustrated. I was still sitting in the middle of the aisle talking to Gina and Philip. And they're like, well, just call us if you need us. We're right here, whatever. And I said, I'm just gonna go get the tire. And so I went and got groceries, and then I went to leave, and the lady again told me she's sorry. She said, he said it's a really slow leak, so you should be fine getting home. And I said, well, I'm just gonna go get a used tire. Well, I get out to the car and I call him, and I ask him, I'm like, okay, I said, now that you've had, a half hour or so to calm down, are you are you really okay with me doing this? Well, then that set off a whole nother set of emotions. And so, again, I'm emotional right now. And so I'm being more sensitive with the way that I'm being talked to by people. And, he has a harsher way of saying things. And so, especially when he's frustrated, even if he's not frustrated with me, he's still like, it seems like he's frustrated with me. And I've told him for years and years and years, we've been together for 14 years. I still have a hard time. Like, is he joking? Is he being serious? Is he frustrated? Is he being sarcastic? Is he like,
hey, Josh and Mel.
Like,
we were just talking about Walmart.
I can't always tell like his moods and things. And so we're learning, we had a long discussion, and we're learning that, just because
Brittany's watching. Hey, Brittany.
Just because we're mad at somebody else or we're frustrated with something else, we need to figure out how to communicate with each other better to make it to where the other person doesn't feel like it's on them.
And of course, I'm a big jerk. I'm like, fine, you know what? If you have a problem with the way I communicate, I'll just take a vow of silence and you won't have any issues with my communication.
Which isn't the point. The point is that we need to do a better job at communicating with each other. And so, I think that's like, everybody talks about their New Year's resolutions and all of that. And I think that's
not for another couple more months.
Well, whatever. That's one of the things that I think that, like, for us, that we really need to work on as a couple is communicating better and realizing that just because we said something, we may have not have meant it the way that the other person took it, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is how they took it. So if they took it in a bad way, then you need to communicate and express that, okay, look, this isn't what I meant. I'm sorry that you took it this way. That's not what I meant. This is actually what I meant to say. Or this is actually what, I'm trying to say. So we're working on that.
And by we, you mean me?
I'm a better communicator than you. I go by the motto, if it's not gonna be a big issue in a few months, then is it really worth the fight and the battle now? So there are some things that I'm learning that I have to, like, with him, and I have to let him do what he's gonna do. But there's other things that, we have to talk about it. So he's horrible at it. He really is. But It's okay. We're going to work on it.
By we, she means me.
Stop. I'm not. I will be honest. I'm super sensitive. And more with him than I am with anybody else. If he says something, he could not mean it that way at all, but I will totally take it in a wrong direction.
I love Ben's comment. We're good. Rebecca's getting fat. That's funny.
He has to learn to communicate better, and I have to learn to not to be so emotional and take it so sensitive and personal.
Yeah, gosh. Why gotta take things so personal?
It's what it is.
And I have to learn to remember to focus my frustrations on the right people and not bite the heads off of the people that are on my side trying to help me. So,
yeah,
working on that.
Anyways, that was our week.
Something I've been thinking about is I'm trying to think about like more like coming up with ideas of more things I could do for videos.
Yeah.
Because I want to create more content. I mean, I've done, the trucking videos, and I haven't done a trucking video in a while. But we do this show. We try to do this show every week. But I've been trying to think of like, what's other things that I could do? Because like when I get done driving at night, in the evening, I'm usually up for 2 or 3 hours before I actually go to 2 or 3 hours before I go to sleep. And so it's like I could sit down, in the cab and record, a monologue for something or wherever, sit and talk about something. I mean, I don't mind doing the trucking videos, but I think people get boring of the, hey guys, Dwell's here. I'm in such and I'm heading wherever. And then you see stuff going down the road, and the music or whatever. And then I am someplace, and then that's it. Some people liked it when I did the karaoke in between, but the problem is you never know which ones are going to be like copyrighted or not. And it's really a pain in the butt when I put all this effort into putting together a video and then I get a copyright strike because I'm sitting there singing to a song in the background. So I'm like, that kind of puts a hindrance on me doing that style of video. So I'm trying to think, what's some other things I could do? What's something I could do to where, I could record, just basically me talking and it would still be entertaining for people. So like, I'm thinking like, one thing I want to do is I want to be able to get a green screen. So, cause then I could, in my sleeper, I could hang up the green screen in the back of, of my sleeper there and be sitting in front of it. And then I could change the background. So I could, I could have a still image of this right here and then paste that behind me on the green screen then. So then it actually looks like I'm sitting in my house when I'm not. But one thing I was thinking about doing is,
paint your sleeper green.
What? Paint your sleeper green. I'm sure JB Hunt would love that. So, but I used to, I have the nickname, Dr. Wells, like my name, Dustin Robert Wells, Dr. Wells. I had license plates that said Dr. Wells on or whatever. I used to joke that I was the doctor of love before I met you. But I thought about.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and talk. This is the Cassie show. No, I thought about what I could do is
I don't know why anybody watches the show.
I wonder, where are those glasses at? Are they down there? Up there? I have these glasses anyway. They make me look a lot smarter. And so I thought, well, I could put the glasses on.
They make him look hot.
Well, but anyways, I could put the glasses on and like have a button down shirt and have the background of like not a doctor's office, like a medical doctor's office, but like maybe like a psychiatrist or a therapist, office. And I could do bad marriage advice with Dr. Wells. And then, each episode would be like bad marriage advice, like bad things you would do in a marriage. And it would all be complete satire. But I mean, it would be examples of like, if you want to have a bad marriage, here's what you need to do. Talk horribly to your wife
when you're mad at somebody else.
So then it'd be complete satire. So then somebody could take it and they could laugh at the examples that's given, but then also realize that, hey, if I'm doing these things in my relationship, I probably need to change them if I want to have a good relationship. So, I mean, on one side, it's funny, But on the flip side of it, it's people could actually look at it as, hey, if I do the exact opposite of this, I'm probably doing okay. But then part of me is like, am I really the person that needs to be giving like bad marriage advice? Because maybe my marriage advice would be horrible marriage advice, you know? So, but I've been watching, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the channel Blind Me Cow, but I like discovered it recently. And I've heard about it, you know, a long time ago, like watched some of their like homeschooler kid videos and whatever. And so I've been like binge watching messages, you know, Blind Me Cow messages. And so that's what kind of gave me the idea, because he's like giving everybody like these relationship advice. And there's some of the stuff he says, I'm like, and from my perspective, I'm like, I wouldn't, you know, that wasn't good advice in my opinion. So then I thought, well, I wonder how I could incorporate giving advice in a video. So then I thought of let's take it satire and make it all, you know, bad marriage advice.
Something that I thought about doing, and I think that I talked to some of my friends about it. But because we are going through the fertility part of things, is I thought about doing videos of like that journey, the, you know, road to get pregnant journey. But one that I think would be cool to do is because there's a lot of female versions of the whole road to fertility and things like that, is that having obviously my point of view or whatever, but then having your point of view in there too.
Here I am driving my semi truck down the road. My wife's at the doctor's office. That'd be my
I don't mean it like that. I mean like okay, for example, like straight to the point, because this is how we are. Last month we did treatments. We went to the doctor. They calculated my eggs, all of that stuff. We had an ultrasound done and all this stuff. And so we timed it. And like I said, all week I've been super emotional and there's been things. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm either this is going to happen or we're pregnant. So literally right before he got home, that happened. And so I'm going to be like that because we got kids in the room, but y'all are all adults. And so of course
she's all emotional about it.
I came out and I was crying. He's like, what's wrong? And so I told him what was wrong. And
my response was like, I'm hugging her, you know, I'm holding her. I'm like, it's okay, you know, like we're facing each other. I'm like, it's okay. But then I like, kind of like in a joking way, I looked up. I'm like, couldn't you have waited like one more night at least? You know, because I just got home from being on the road, you know, for a week. And then I realized that, you know, hey, that maybe seems a little insensitive.
I just giggled and walked away because like he's, you know, difference in the two. And I'm learning to not take it so personal and not be whatever. But I just walked away and then he realized.
Yeah, so I apologize. But I said, you know, I just want you to realize that I wasn't being insensitive. I wasn't like, my focus wasn't on, oh, well, I'm missing out on this. You know, that I look at it this way, you know, like if she was pregnant, she would have been pregnant 2 weeks ago. And when the time didn't come, she would have known, hey, I'm pregnant, right? So the time came and she knows, hey, I'm not pregnant. So in my mind, it's like, you know what? It was 2 weeks ago that you weren't pregnant. It was 2 weeks ago decided that you're not pregnant. You're just now finding out though. So my thought is, couldn't you have like waited one more day to find out? You know, basically is what I was thinking. So.
But putting that part aside, what is your feelings on it? Does it bum you out, or are you just like, whatever?
I guess I'm just, you know, whatever. I mean, I feel like I'm along for the ride, basically. Like she's got to go do all the stuff that she's got to do, and I just got to be here to contribute my part. Let's put it that way.
Okay, but you can have some feeling of what's like is or isn't.
Okay, all of my feelings are reserved for when you say, honey, I'm pregnant. Because that's when I'm probably going to cry and shout and jump up and down and go through all the emotions. Otherwise, I'm keeping all of my pregnancy. Are we going to be pregnant? Are we not going to be pregnant? I'm keeping all of those emotions boxed in their nice little compartmentalized little box, you know, tucked in right here where they belong, kept under control, kept, you know, with the wrapper on it, or it's nice and neat where they need to be. And then when it's time to say, hey, we're pregnant, then I can go, woohoo, throw that box open and it's good to go, you know? So.
I know. And
do you remember the proverb about how there are things that cry and it won't be silent, huh?
Do you remember the things that cry out and won't be silent?
I don't remember that proverb.
See, that's the thing is it's like, okay, for one, I'm on medication and the medication makes you like super a whole bunch of things. And so it's hard, but like 2 weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, well, when we found out, okay, there's eggs there and like this is the week. And the whole timing of all of that, I'm like, okay, you know, like maybe this is God's way of opening this door. And then, but in my head, I told myself, you know, if you have another, like you want another baby, but if you don't get pregnant, like it's okay. It's not a big deal. Like I didn't want to go down that road. I've been down that road before and it's really, really hard. And so I didn't want to go down that road again. And I'm like, you know, I'm so grateful for Eli. Eli is literally our miracle baby. And I'm so grateful for him. I don't ever want to like belittle that or whatever. And so not that you do, if it makes you sad or whatever, it's just like, I want to keep myself in check because I don't want to,
Good night, Michael.
I didn't want to get emotionally involved, I guess is the best way. And last night I realized like I'm emotionally involved. And so I cried a lot and it was devastating. And so I'm so grateful and happy that my body is doing what it's supposed to be doing, sort of. But at the same time, like I want a baby in there. So, and I agree. Gina said it's more than a roller coaster. And I totally agree. It is. It's like, it's all over the place, everywhere. My hormones and then my body is doing things that's weird. And at least
is it like being on a roller coaster while bungee jumping at the same time?
I don't know. I've never bungee jumped, but
have you seen people bungee jump?
Not in real life.
But you've seen videos.
Yes.
So you can imagine what it's like.
I guess, yeah. And I get it. Like, it is different for me versus him because I'm the one that's going through all the medicine, like, is all wacky, and he's just there. So I get it. But I don't know. I guess I thought maybe it would be like a disappointment or something.
For me?
Yeah.
Like I said, I keep everything in its nice little neat little box.
But anyhow, I thought about doing videos with, you know, doing that journey and talking about it. Yep, pretty much. See, that's the thing is like, even though, I mean, we haven't miscarried or anything like that, like, but for the next 7 days or 8 days or 10 days, however long it decides to stay, like, it's a constant reminder. Like, while that's happening, it's a constant reminder that you're not pregnant. It's not like I'm not pregnant, and then you can kind of try to move on. It's every time you go to the bathroom or, you know, whatever's going on, you know, it's a constant reminder that this is what's happening, that there's no baby there, that this is there instead.
Yeah, but that's also got to happen to have another baby. So
I know, but it's still the same. You know, Jamie told me one time.
Hey, Kevin.
Jamie told me one time, and I never looked at it that way until until
She told you?
she told me this, and it made sense to me. And I totally felt that last night. Like it's probably the first time that I really grasped what she said. But when they were trying to conceive, literally every time you started, even though that baby didn't form or whatever, it was like losing, like every month it was like losing a baby. Because even though she'd had miscarriages, so I mean, I get the difference. But seeing that happen and knowing that the baby didn't form or the baby didn't happen and that happens instead, it's like death every month.
I'm sure Jamie said it better than that.
She did say it better than that, but I'm just saying, like, I get it. Like, I understood it last night. Yesterday, I totally got it because it was like, and now it's like a constant reminder that it didn't happen. So, anyways. I know, I already said no. Anyhow, so I've thought about doing little videos, but we'll see.
What would you do? Just grab your phone and sit down and talk to it?
I guess. But it's really emotional. I don't know that I can.
You could. I could just edit out the emotional parts.
It would be the whole thing. I don't know. And I know there's other people that's dealing with it too and going through it too. Gina and I are pretty much doing it together. We go to our appointments together. And it's just as hard on her as it is me. It's just like, I don't know. It just sucks, especially when you see other people having these things, having babies that shouldn't be having babies, and all of this talk this week. My news feed has been blown up with this whole, what is her name?
Tell me what she did, and I'll tell you her name.
She won a global.
I don't even know who that person is. That blonde lady that apparently had an abortion for her role. I don't know who she is.
So she's holding this idol, this statue, or her award.
Her Golden Globe award.
Yeah, and she's all, I had an abortion, and this is why I got this, and it just makes me super sad because it's like
Michelle Wolf. Ben said, "No idea who she is."
I would love to have a baby. And you just throw yours away like it's trash.
I mean, I guess I haven't seen the thing, but I can only imagine what was said.
I didn't watch it either, but that's
when it's like you wish you had tomatoes you could throw at the person, like the old school, like when you boo something at the stage. You did what?
The thing is that now
throw tomatoes at them, or maybe that's when a bucket of pig's blood needs to drop from the ceiling on them.
I'm pretty sure that I saw that she's pregnant now. So I'm like, it just makes me really sad. And I agree. I don't like it when I hear people complain about being pregnant, because it's like, you have no idea. Like Michelle Williams, that's her name.
No, Wolf.
No, it's Michelle Williams.
Oh. Ben said Michelle Wolf.
She's right. Because I know her from a show, but that's her name. But yeah. So
she's not a Wolf in Ladies Clothing, then she's a Williams in Ladies Clothing.
It's just sad.
Speaking of Williams, where's Samson and Tara tonight?
I don't know. We got on pretty early.
That's true.
Okay, this is gonna totally show my age, but I grew up with the whole Dawson's Creek thing, and so that was like my thing when I was a teenager, and she played in that show.
So she's old then.
Yeah, she's not young. I mean, she's young, but she's not like super young. What, Eli? No. So she starred in Dawson's Creek.
Youngster, my condolences on watching that.
That was one of my favorite TV shows.
I've never watched it either.
Dawson's Creek and Seventh Heaven and Felicity. Those were the 3 shows that I watched every single week.
Dustin's Creek is show name I haven't heard in a long time. Trying to think what shows I watched as a kid. We never had we did have cable TV, but we never had shows we got into as a
That
family
was on like the CW.
and watched. Who
Who
Shot J?
Shot
Oh,
J?
Dallas. I got into Stargate SG-1, I think, as a teenager. And I remember watching the Highlander TV show. The first real show that I remember getting into was Grey's Anatomy. And it was totally on accident. I was at home. I can still remember it's I was at home, sitting in my bedroom, on the floor next to my bed, flipping through the TV, and I just had rabbit ears. Was all I had. I didn't have cable. Rabbit ears. And it was within the first 10 minutes of that show starting. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is a medical show. But it was a drama show. And I got into that. Now it's it's so far removed. I liked it because of the medical stuff that it showed. But then they started adding all the relationship drama. And I'm like, yeah. But
well, you got us into watching it when we were dating.
Ren and Stimpy? No, I never watched Ren and Stimpy.
I had to watch it. I don't watch it anymore.
Oh, Grey's Anatomy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were watching it. We had a few seasons of it on DVD, I remember.
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy, no.
So another thing that we're doing that we started is we're reading scripture. We're gonna go through the Bible in a year with Eli. We're doing the chronological order.
Yeah, doing it. So you'll read something in Genesis and then you'll read basically the same wording that's wrote out in Chronicles as well. So it's chronologically in the order of events of how they happened.
So we started doing that.
Have you seen The Chosen?
Eli and I just started watching it.
I haven't seen it yet.
But okay, so I found one episode on YouTube and I can't find any of the other episodes online. You can download the app and they have all of the episodes on the app, but then I have to watch it from my phone because we don't have a smart TV, so we can't cast the phone onto
I've seen
TV.
a few clips on YouTube, but I've never seen a whole episode.
So it kind of sucks, but Eli and I have been watching it before bed. And so Eli and I just watch it on my phone. When I think we've watched 2 episodes. We've watched 2 episodes so far.
I look for it online for the places where I usually download TV shows from, and it's not on there. So I don't know.
I like doing the reading though. We've done it every night so far.
Yeah, when I'm on the road, they read to me basically. They call me and read to me.
Yep. So we did find an error today in today's reading though. Even though we were reading from the scriptures, I was reading from my phone.
Cassie and I were both reading the scriptures on our phones, and Eli was reading it from his actual
Bible,
hardcover Bible.
And there was a verse that was different in our phone versus
Eli was reading. I was like, "Oh, you missed a word. Go back." And he reads it again exactly the same way he did. I'm like, "You missed it again." I'm like, "Read slower, pay attention." And he reads it again slower. I'm like, "Wait, what?" And so his verse was totally different than what ours was. They had a please in it in an earlier spot in ours than it was in his, and then there was a couple other different words in that same
Dallas
verse.
Johnson. It's called the Chosen, even the app. So I don't know if you can see. That's what it looks like.
It's right there.
See Dustin in his little kilt, but it's right there. So so yeah. So we've been doing that and I enjoy it. It's not a whole lot of reading, which is why I like it. It's just a few chapters a day.
That's making me wonder how we can get through it all in a year. It's only a few chapters a day. There must be some large portions of Psalms we're gonna be reading or something.
Yeah. But so we're doing that together. Eli actually came up to us and said he wanted to start doing reading in the morning, and then we have
We'll see you later, Kevin. Thank you. Good night. Love you.
We have what is it called? The theatrical.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Go get it,
A
Eli.
while ago, go get the CDs of the Bible.
Mm.
So a while
We ordered
ago,
them.
we ordered these. I think it's the theatrical CDs, and it came in a box, and it does the whole Bible, and it's in different voices and stuff like that. So he actually that's what he listens to before he goes to bed.
He listens to it when he's actually sleeping. He listens to
he listens to
a whole CD play. So a CD's 74 minutes long. So
he'll listen to a whole CD when he goes to bed. Because I've always told him I want him to listen to something good when he goes to bed. Because even when he's sleeping,
the Word of Promise audio Bible, New King James Version.
Yeah. So it's this. So we had ordered this. And it has like all the CDs and stuff. And so he listens through it.
And it's got like, let's see, the people that does voices is Lou Diamond Phillips, Harry Hamlin, Malcolm McDowell, Kimberly Williams Paisley, that's Brad Paisley's wife, John Rice Davies, Jesse McCartney, Luke Perry, that's 90210. Gary Sinise, Richard Dreyfuss, Jim Caviezel, John Voight, Jason Alexander, that's the short guy from Seinfeld. Sean Astin, that's Sean Astin, you know him from Lord of the Rings as Samwise Gamgee, and he's also the boy in Goonies, and he's also in he's in Mom's Night Out, right? Is he the one husband in Mom's Night Out?
Yeah.
Marissa Tomei, yeah. Marissa Tomei, Stacy Keach, who else? Chris McDonald, John Schneider. Is that the John? No, wait. No, that's not who I was thinking of. Never mind. Michael W. Smith and Rebecca St. James. And there's a few other people, but those are like
we like it a lot.
Ones.
I wanted to do it with him. But he listens to it every night, so that's what instead of listening to, I always wanted to listen to music and stuff when I was a kid going to bed, and
I did too.
He did, and so Eli is like that way too. And so instead I have him listen to that.
Oh, what's up with that?
It doesn't go down all the way.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it goes down just like that.
Well, it's sitting crooked.
Well, okay, but it doesn't go down all the way.
But it shouldn't sit crooked like that.
Okay, I understand that, but it's not.
I went through a phase when I was a teenager. Like I would lay in bed and it would take me like 3 hours to fall asleep. And like my mind would just sit there, be racing and racing and racing. And then I started listening to music that gave my mind something to focus on. And then I was able to fall asleep a lot easier. I think partly it had to do with I had a horrible bed. It was not very comfortable. You could feel the springs.
Anyway,
it's a crisis if the Bible turns off in the night. Maybe like that's like Cassie and her fan. If the fan turns off, you know what's weird is like I don't sleep with a fan during the week when I'm in the truck. But if we're at home and that fan goes off, I wake up instantly too. Don't drink all that water. That's for your mom and I. Why don't you go get some more? Put some ice in it. Here, let me have a drink for you, dude. Thank you.
Go shower.
I can hear you whispering. Anyway, anything else to cover?
Shower. No, I think we've been in here.
We've been at 75
minutes. If y'all
minutes.
have ideas of videos that he needs to do or I need to do,
Kevin's not here, so we're not going to get any crazy ideas.
let us know. I don't want any crazy ideas.
Well, if Kevin had been here, he'd be like, hey, you need to do a video on this.
I'm not crazy. Not a lot, anyways.
Are you crazy about me?
Sometimes.
See what I have to deal with. Anyway, is there anything else? What's coming up this week? Anything coming up this week?
Gina's birthday.
How old is she going to be?
Old enough. Her birthday is on Tuesday. I have to finish getting her gift.
Ben said the one that they have of this is from the 70s and they have no idea who the people are.
She said, I didn't tell him.
Oh, believe me, Gina, if I really want to know how old you are, I could. Oh, wait.
You are not going to say anything. Flip it. Remember that thing earlier about what good husbands do?
I'm not married to her.
Okay, but your wife. Of the last one, it's the last one you guys are going to do. Look, she told you. She doesn't care.
She is 47 or going to be 47?
Well,
She is going to be 47. Yeah, because I remember she's 9 years older than me. And I'm 37.
We're going to talk about that. Just not on here.
Anyway, want to wrap it up?
Yeah, so I can text her.
Talk to Gina.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to get my laundry started. We get the laundry done so I can have clean clothes for the week.
Hi there, I'm new here. Hi.
Nicole Grimes. Why does that name sound familiar?
Grimes.
Nicole Grimes.
I don't know. Where did you hear from us, Nicole? She'll be.
I know there was somebody. I know there was somebody I talked to, or I remember seeing something about recently online in the last month because I thought the name Grimes made me think of Rick Grimes from
YouTube. Oh.
From The Walking Dead.
That's a show we haven't watched in a long, long time.
Well, you haven't. I have. I'm caught up. You don't want to watch it anymore. I do. I still want to watch it. I'm caught up to as of like.
Here's a show that I started watching this week, or this last week. It's called Bluff City Law. It's a new show that came out, but it's super clean, so I like it.
What's it called?
Bluff City Law.
Is that the name of the town?
There is a couple in there though, but that's it. But there's no like bad language. There's no inappropriateness other than the couple. But I like law shows. Anyways.
That law shows are not my kind of show.
Yes, welcome to our show.
And we're about to leave. Bye.
She's not a troll.
Hey, Wheatree's here.
Okay.
Wheatree shows up at the very end. Maybe we should hang out a little bit longer. I started this week, since Wheatree's here, I started posting on Steemit again this week. When I last was posting on Steemit,
what is our show about?
We had posted episode 5 of the Dustin and Cassie show. So this week I posted episodes 6, 7, and 8 of the Dustin and Cassie show
on Steemit.
On Steemit. Nicole, our show is just about our life, what we've got going on during the week, what we experienced, what we've got coming up in the week. We try to do a show every single week. This week we talked about issues with Walmart not ordering the right tires for her vehicle. We talked about getting a new puppy. We talked about our cat having a broken leg. We talked about fertility stuff. We talked about marriage and communication.
Scripture.
We talked about Bible reading. It's like if you took a shotgun and shot it at a target, we hit all kinds of stuff.
We talk about anything that anybody wants us to talk about.
As long as it's appropriate.
I need to do something with my Steemit account. I don't even know if I can get into Steemit.
You can. You had everything saved on your Chrome. I'm sure you could. But anyway, so yeah, I've been doing that. I'm going to start doing that more. Keep posting them. I was kind of hoping that, by posting there, I would see like views go up on the old videos. I'm trying to like generate more traffic to the channel. Yeah, no. Nope, didn't happen. I got upvotes on the video on the Steam It post. I got upvotes, but no view counts went up on those videos. So nobody's actually watching them, but they're upvoting the post at least. But I mean, it's nothing like what it used to be. I mean, I think the one post is at 2 cents. Another post is at 8 cents, but that's only because a guy, Dave, I can't think of his full name now. He's from Canada. Anyway, he upvoted it for 6 cents worth. So, but yeah. So anyway, are you able to get on? Sign in. Yep. See, there's your stuff. It's probably gonna tell you you're signing in with the wrong key, possibly, because they changed the key system. Yep. See, logging in with a non-posting key. So there'll be a thing you have to follow. Download a PDF with keys and instructions. Don't do it right now. You can do it later. We'll figure it out for you. I did it on mine a while ago. So anyway, and Weetree says we are a Torah observant group. And then if Nicole doesn't know what that is, she goes, "What's Torah observant?" And then we'll end up sitting here for another hour telling what. Remember that one time that guy come on and we were about ready to end the show, and like 45 minutes later, we was explaining what Torah observance is.
That's okay. We can explain it.
So, what is it, Eloa?
Are you being serious or are you joking?
I almost want to go to Facebook and be like, okay, who's this? Did this person or look at
ha ha ha?
Because it seems like I've seen comments from a Grimes.
Isn't that serious? Okay, so she's serious. Isn't that Jessica's last name?
That's it. Jessica Grimes. That's why. That's why.
12, you know it. Okay, so
Torah observant.
Okay, but you need to take it down into like 10 minutes, not 40.
Okay. So let's define things first of all. Torah is a Hebrew word that means like laws, instructions, or the basic is it means instructions, but can be taken as in the Bible. Okay, it's used as to mean laws, instructions, or commands. So this one word has multifaceted meanings. She said she doesn't know Jessica Grimes. Okay. We know Jessica Grimes. Anyways, so Torah is law, instructions, commands. So the Torah is a term that's used to refer to the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Within those 5 books are all of the commands, laws, instructions that God gave for his followers. He said, these are my instructions, follow them. Although Cassie is dreaming on that time frame. Oh, on the 30 seconds or 30 minutes. Anyway, okay, so if somebody refers to the Torah, they're talking about God's instructions that he gave, God's commands, his laws, however you want to refer to them. Most people have heard of the 10 Commandments. Well, there's a lot more than just 10 commandments. Some people say there's like 613. Some people say there's less than that. But some people have heard of the 613 laws. Okay, so God gave more than just 10 instructions or laws or commands. A religious thing, yes and no. It's a life thing, really, honestly, to be honest. Being Torah observant means that we observe the commands that God gave to the best that we can, the ones that we're able to follow. A relationship thing. That's right. Okay, so Weetree said it's a relationship thing. So here's the thing. Jesus said, if you love me, obey my commandments. That's what Jesus said. We believe that Jesus, or Yeshua, his actual real Hebrew name is Yeshua. Yeshua was translated from Hebrew into the Greek Iesus, and then from the Greek Iesus, we get the English word Jesus. But his real name in Hebrew, like what his mother would have called him, what his disciples would have called him, would have been Yeshua. So that's what we refer to him as, because we know how we're able to say it in, how it would actually have been said. So we prefer to refer to him as Yeshua. So anyways, Jesus, Yeshua, said, if you love me, obey my commandments. Well, we know that Yeshua, is God in the flesh. So any of the commandments, any of the laws, instructions that we see God giving in the Old Testament, we know and believe that Jesus gave those. So Jesus said, if you love me, obey my commandments. That means if we love him, we should obey all those commands he gave. So that's what we do. We follow his instructions. That means, if you read Leviticus 23, there's the 7 feasts that God said, these are my feasts, and you shall keep them throughout your generations forever. Things like Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of First Fruits, the Feast of Shavuot, or you might have heard that referred to as Pentecost. And then you have the Day of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles, or also called Sukkot. We keep those 7 feasts every year, and it's a great joy. Now, like, for example, Bible version, King James Version Bible. Is there questions I'm missing? Anyway, so King James Version Bible. That's a Bible version. There's several different Bible versions. There was even Bibles that existed before the King James Bible. There's the Geneva Bible that predates the KJV Bible by like 50 or 60 years. Anyway, so we believe in following all of God's commands. So another, that's the Bible she follows. Okay. When I'm not reading from like the scriptures version, I read from the New King James Version, just because it's a lot easier to understand, I think, than the King James Version. So we're following the same thing. It's just maybe written in a different way, but it still has the same stuff. So anyways, we observe all the things that God said to do to the best of our ability. Now there's things that God said to do that we can't do today because there's lots of instructions that God gave that pertain to the tabernacle or the temple or the Levitical priest. So any of those things we can't do because there is no tabernacle or temple, and there's no Levitical priest. So it's impossible right now during this time for us to observe those things. Just like when the prophet Daniel lived in captivity in Babylon, there was a tabernacle at the time in Israel, but Daniel didn't have access to it. So Daniel couldn't go there and do the things that God said to do because he was in captivity. That didn't mean he then ignored everything else God said. He did everything else that he could to the best of his ability. And that's what we do too.
I'm like mean mugging, and I'm not trying to.
Tree says I'm old as dirt, so I read from the stone tablets.
I just squint to look, so.
So anyway, regardless of the version, they say the same thing. We're not like Mormons with extra books, for instance. That's true. Although Ben, at the same time, there's a lot of us that believe that there are books that were taken out of the Bible. For example, the Catholic Bible has 8 more, the normal Western Protestant Bible has 66 books in it, whereas the Catholic Bible has 74 books in it. So they remove First and Second Maccabees and Esdras and Tobias and all these ones. So, I would say that, hey, those were in there. Maybe we should read some of those too. And there's people, I've encountered people that say, oh, well, they create contradictions in the Bible. And then I ask them, well, what contradictions do they create with the other books? And then they never can tell me. So they've based this belief system on what other people told them, the reason why those books were taken out, but I don't think they've even taken the time to study it out.
Y'all are totally going to confuse her and run her way.
Oh, sorry.
Basically, we believe that we should follow the whole Bible, that just because Jesus came and died on the cross doesn't mean that we shouldn't follow the Old Testament.
Right.
That in order to understand the end of the book, you have to first read the beginning of the book.
Right. There's no other book on the planet that you go to the last 1/8 of it and start reading there and then go back and read the beginning of it to figure out what it's talking about. No, you start every other book, you start at the beginning and you proceed through it to the very end. So we look at the Bible the same way. It's a love story of God to his people from the beginning to the end.
So we keep Saturday Sabbath.
The seventh day.
The seventh day.
The seventh day is from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. Hey, why are you telling me to hush? Just tell me to zip it.
We keep Saturday Sabbath. We don't go to church on Sunday. We have fellowships and things in our homes, and we read scripture together. We study together.
Churches might meet on Sunday, but they're not observing the Sabbath. God established the Sabbath as the seventh day of the week. So Friday sundown to Saturday sundown is when the Sabbath is. Churches meet on the first day of the week. Go look at your calendar. Sunday is the first day of the week. And we don't believe in going to church on Sunday because that we believe that that's there's nothing wrong to say you can't go to church on Sunday, but if you're going to church on Sunday to observe it as the Sabbath, that's not when the Sabbath is. So you can't observe the Sabbath on Sunday when the Sabbath was on Saturday.
So he says that he worked 6 days and then he rested on the seventh day.
Right.
Sunday is the first day of the week. And so, and how he worded things was evening to
morning were the first
day. And so from Saturday night to Sunday night would be day 1. From Sunday night to Monday night would be day 2. And so Friday night to Saturday night is the 7th day. And so that's when we keep our Shabbat, our Sabbath.
The Catholic Church, centuries and centuries ago, long before Protestantism was even around, long before Martin Luther wrote his, 98 theses or whatever, 78 theses. The Catholic Church, long before that time, had moved. They declared the Sabbath to be Sunday instead of Saturday. So they went against what God said and they changed it themselves, which they can't do. They don't have the authority to change what God himself established. We believe that God is our creator. He's our father. He gave us instructions for a reason because he loves us, because he wants us to be blessed and healthy and happy. He said, here's how I want you to live. So we follow his instructions. Man's made up stuff, we don't follow that stuff. So big shocker, we don't.
Okay, so we keep Saturday Sabbath. We also eat biblically clean. So in Leviticus, it talks about foods that are animals that are okay to eat, and then animals that are not okay to eat.
Animals that are okay to eat are called clean animals, and animals that are not okay to eat are called unclean animals.
And so we don't eat a lot of seafood. We don't eat pork. Those are like the two main things I would say.
So like when it comes to like clean animals, God said that it has to have a split hoof and it has to chew the cud. So that would be animals like cows, sheep, goats, deer, antelope, oxen,
and there's verses in the New Testament.
But like that means, but it also means animals like that you don't eat would be like, pigs, dogs, cats, rabbits, horses, squirrels. When it comes to seafood, for example, God said it has to have scales and fins. So as long as it's a fish that has both scales and fins, it's okay to eat. If it's a fish or a sea creature that doesn't have those things, then you don't eat them. So like whales, for example, have fins, but they don't have scales. So you wouldn't eat whales. Dolphins have fins, but don't have scales. So you wouldn't eat those. Oh yeah, moose. Moose is another one with a split hoof and chews the cud, right? I believe so. Moose. Oh, and giraffe. Giraffe's another one. Giraffe is another land animal that split hoof and chews the cud. But okay, so back to sea creatures though, like things like shrimp and crab, lobster, things like that. Those are all they don't have scales and they don't have fins, so you don't eat those. And the cool thing is like when you actually learn about the biology of these animals, you find out that these animals are the cleaning system of the ocean. Their job, their purpose, the reason God created them is to clean all of the waste out of the ocean. So they so when you go and people are like now harvesting on them and eating them and stuff when they're not supposed to be. That's why the oceans are dirty or nasty and things like that. There's a picture I've seen online that's a really good picture, and it gives a great example of this. It shows a fish tank, and it says, this fish tank has water in it there's a river behind it, from that river behind it. And on one side of the fish tank, there's a divider in the middle. One side of the fish tank is just this nasty, murky, disgusting water. Lobsters, no, it doesn't have fins or scales. It has an exoskeleton, but it has no fins either. So it doesn't have scales. So anyways, but this picture that I'm talking about, it has this nasty river water, and there's a divider in it. One side of the divider is the nasty, disgusting looking river water that people will be like, I ain't going to drink that. The other side of the divider, there is they put, was it oysters? They put oysters in it, and that water is just as clean as can be. The oysters were in that water for 2 hours. So the oysters, how they eat is they pull water into their body, and it's filtered through their muscle membranes, everything else.
Adam.
Oh, Adam Allen's watching. Hey, I heard something down there. It was Eli. I thought you were saying, like, there's an Adam here? Anyways, so the oysters pull the water in through their bodies, and they filter out all the gunk, and then they expel the cleaned water out. So this tank shows a great example of what an oyster's function is. It's a water filter. So you think about it, if you wouldn't drink the nasty water that's on this side of the tank, why would you then eat the animals that just filtered all the nasty water and now have all the nastiness on the inside of them? It'd be like, okay, like we have a Berkey water filter. I wouldn't take my Berkey water filter and take the filter, cut it open, and eat the contents of the filter. So why would I eat an animal that's a water filter? Same thing. So oysters are not okay. Oysters, they don't have scales or fins. So oysters, anything that's considered a shellfish, hint shell, it's not okay. So no oysters, clams, lobsters, shrimp, none of that stuff.
We just avoid.
We don't eat a lot of seafood. She's not big on seafood. I like, like whitefish, cod, pollock, halibut, things like that are good.
But here's one of the cool things that you're not taught about in the church is that when I was a kid, and even with Eli when he was baby, our son, is that when, in Sunday school, you're taught, oh, Noah took 2 by 2, on the ark. And it's not actually
that's not what it says in the Bible.
That's not what it says. And so if you actually go through, even in the King James, and you actually read it, it says he took 7 pairs
of the clean animals.
And then one pair of the unclean. So he took 14 clean animals, and he only took 2 of the unclean. So
that right there even shows that prior to God giving the complete law at
Leviticus 11 is where it is in more detail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's where it's laid out. That's where it's laid out, because it goes through like land animals, sea animals, birds. It breaks it all down so that God makes it clear of this. But the thing is like that's given in Leviticus 11. But you see that way back in Genesis 7, I think it is, Noah knew the difference between clean and unclean long before it's recorded when God said it. So even example, you look at like Cain and Abel. Cain knew not to kill Abel, but he killed him anyway. Had God said, thou shalt not commit murder at that point? No, it's not recorded that God had told people to do that, but God had spoke instructions directly to Adam and Eve. And then, so prior to like God giving the complete law at Mount Sinai, God had spoken certain laws and commands to men, and it had been passed down by, word of mouth, basically from one.
The dryer, is it? Okay.
It had been passed down from like one generation to the next by word of mouth. But at Mount Sinai, when all of Israel went to Mount Sinai after coming out of Egypt, is when God actually wrote down all of the commands. Like, these are all the commands I want you to follow. So I was going to pull it up. What is it? Genesis chapter 7, I think.
Don't worry about it. So one of the other things.
Okay. So Genesis chapter 7, I'm reading for the King James version just for you, Nicole. Genesis chapter 7, starting in verse 1, it says, "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. And of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female. And of the beasts that are not clean, by two, the male and his female. So right there we see clean and unclean long before it's recorded that God gave the command to do that. Hey, Kevin's back. JAL
it's 7 pairs
627.
and then 2 pair.
Yep, 7. No, not 2 pairs, 1 pair.
Okay, look at it because I thought it said 7 and 2.
Of the clean beast thou shalt take by the sevens, the male and his female. And of the beasts that are not clean, by 2, the male and his female.
Okay.
That's 1. It would otherwise it'd say the males and their females.
Okay.
So
okay, so we keep Saturday Sabbath, we eat biblically clean. We also wear these. These are tzitzits or tassels.
there's mine hanging down. There's one there.
So in Numbers 15:38, it says
I'll pull that up.
go ahead.
Numbers 15:38.
This is almost, okay. I wonder.
Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and then they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God. So God told us to make these and wear them on the corners of our garments to remind us of his commands.
So we call them tzitzits.
That's the Hebrew word.
And so it does have blue in it. And so how I do mine is I wrap it 10, 5, 6, 5. So there's 10, and then it's wrapped 5 times, 6 times, and then 5 times. And that stands for his name. God's name is made up of the Hebrew characters Yod, He, Vav, He. And in Hebrew, each letter has a numerical value. So like the Hebrew letter Yod has a value of 10. Mm-hmm. And then the He is a value of 5. The Vav is 6. And then the He again, obviously, is 5. So that's why it's wrapped 10, 5, 6, 5. So his name is woven into that. Now, it doesn't say that's why, but it doesn't say that you have to have that. All it says is that you have to have a tassel with blue thread in it. And so that's just how we wrap them traditionally. But his is wrapped differently. I don't have his wrapped that way.
Pull that off. This is a new set she just made for me. Yesterday was the first day I got to wear them.
And so these ones are wrapped differently. So they're not wrapped that way.
But they're still blue running all the way.
Yes. What Josh or the Amish just said. It's basically
it's like a cross necklace or a WWJD bracelet.
Yeah, what would Jesus do? Bracelet. So
but these are actually commanded by God.
He wanted us to wear these as a reminder of his commandments.
Now here's the cool thing. Some people ask, well, why did he say it has to be blue? If you read in the scriptures, when God actually gave the commands, when he wrote them in stone, it says he took the stones, the tablets were made from stones around his throne. Well, later on you find out that around his throne, the stone is made of sapphire, and sapphire, we all know, is a blue stone. So the commandments were originally written in stones of blue, and that's why he said, make a tassel with a blue thread in it to remind you of the commands that were originally written in blue stones so you don't forget them.
That's our understanding of it.
Yes.
So, but he says to wear them as a reminder because they were doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing. The Israelites were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. And so he said, okay, look, this is what I want you to do. I want you to wear these things. Some people believe that it's only for you, that it's not for other people. We believe that it's actually for you, but it's also for other people. Because if I see somebody wearing them, like if I see him walking down the street and I see that he has tassels, I know, hey, he's a brother. He believes the same thing that I do.
And I've had that happen to me. We went to the Baker Creek Seed Festival up in
Missouri.
And there's thousands of people there. And we're walking through the crowd. I had Cass and Eli like right close behind me. We're walking through the crowd trying to get to another part of this place. All of a sudden, this guy steps out of the crowd, thrusts out his hand to me and says, "Shalom, brother," which shalom means peace in Hebrew. I didn't know who the guy was, but he saw me walking. He saw my tzitzits, and he knew that I was his brother. And so he reached out to me, shook his hand. I shook his hand, and we sat there and talked for a good 20, 30 minutes. And the only reason that we were able to do that and know that, that we're brothers, we're related, that we're together in God is we were wearing the tzitzits. Mm-hmm. And I've had it, because I drive truck. I've had it twice now where I was at some place. Once was down by Little Rock. And the other time was at a truck stop up in Missouri. Ran across another random person wearing tzitzits, So it's an outward sign. It's an outward sign of what our inner beliefs are. It's a way that signals that, hey, I'm set apart. I'm different from everybody else. I'm doing what God told me to do. And it signals that, hey, I'm with God. I'm following what he told me to do. And it tells other people that that's what I'm doing, as long as they know what it is. Are you allowed to have the pets in your home, like cats and dogs? Yes.
We currently have 2 cats in our house right now. Sadie's in the bedroom. And we have dogs.
Now, why would you ask a question like that? What would make you? My guess is you were thinking we might not. What would be your reasoning why? This is where I wish we could live communicate, talk to people, not have to wait for their comment to come up. Wheatree says she has cats that own her. Cats are an unclean animal. That's why we don't eat them. We have them as pets.
They are an unclean animal, yes, but we do not eat them. And if they die, we do not touch them. So it doesn't say that you can't be around unclean animals. It just says you shouldn't eat them, which honestly, if you look at the health part of it, you can understand why he doesn't want you to eat them. Like pork, for example. Pigs do not release toxins. Anything they eat, all of the yuckiness,
the toxins and everything else gets trapped into
their body.
Meat.
And so then it stays in their meat, and then you are eating that. And that's why we have so much health issues. And honestly, pork's in everything, though. You have to be very diligent about.
They slip pork into so much stuff.
They do. It's even in toothpaste and cleaning supplies.
Marshmallows.
Some religions not allowed.
Oh yeah, I know. The Muslims think that dogs are an abomination or whatever, and that's where it's they're following man's traditions on things, not what God said.
The biggest thing that I would say, though, honestly, the biggest thing I would say is to grab your Bible, whatever version you're reading. Grab your Bible and start in Genesis and just slowly read through each thing. And
honestly put all your preconceived biases and ideas to the side and just read what it says on the page. And if there's something you don't understand, I would highly recommend going back and get a concordance and look up the words in the Old Testament. It was written in Hebrew, and the New Testament's written in Greek. See what the original Hebrew word was, or see what the original Greek word was.
So the other thing that we don't, I guess it would be the other big thing that we don't do. This is a big one, which is why I left it for last. Is we don't celebrate any of the traditional holidays. So we don't celebrate Christmas. We don't celebrate New Year's. We don't celebrate. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day, Easter. And the reason, St. Patrick's Day, or any of those things.
The reason being, especially Christmas, Easter, Halloween, is those. If you look at the history and the origins of those holidays, they are rooted in the worship of pagan false gods.
The best video that you can watch, though, that I will say, because they will explain it way better than we can, is Truth or Traditions. It's on YouTube. By Jim Staley.
Truth or Traditions by Jim Staley.
And so It literally took me all day to watch this video. When I first got it, I watched it. It took me all day, and I already had my Christmas tree up, and I had all my stuff. Like, I was big into
like our Christmas
that.
tree. Back then when we celebrated Christmas, our Christmas tree went up on November 1st, and the only reason why it was then is because I wouldn't allow her to put it up before Halloween. I'm like, that's just way too early.
And so I watched that in December on a Tuesday. By Thursday, my tree was down and everything else was down. So that's what I will say is that they will explain it way better than what we can. But basically, there's so much paganism and why the holidays were created. And God says to stay away from those things. God
said, do not worship me in the way you see the heathens worshiping their gods. Do not adopt their practices into your practices of worshiping me.
We do celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yes. And there's, because we've researched the origins of Thanksgiving, and there's nowhere in Thanksgiving where we can find where it's tied to the worship of false gods. That's
actually, like, if you look at the history of it, and we're going to do more in-depth study of it next year for Eli for homeschool. But the pilgrims that started Thanksgiving, there's a lot of facts, or there's a lot of things that they were actually Torah keepers.
They were trying that Thanksgiving originated that they were actually trying to keep the last fall feast that you read in Leviticus 23, it talks, so there's 7 feasts. There's 3 in the spring, 1 in the summer, and then 3 in the fall. The last fall feast is called the Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Sukkot. It's 8 days long. And there's some history that suggests that the pilgrims, that they were actually, their Thanksgiving they were attempting to keep the Feast of Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles. So that the origins of Thanksgiving they're actually trying to keep one of God's feasts. Now, American culture and everything, they've taken it and reduced it down to 1 day, but originally, Thanksgiving was a lot longer time period. So yes,
we don't post your links. Alma says
what?
It only lets us or yeah.
It didn't post my link.
It will only let you post a link if you're blue, or if
hang on a sec there, Josh. We'll give you right here. Click right here.
He's gonna wrench them.
Okay, now you can post your link.
So we don't celebrate those things. So in the fall, we celebrate Feast of Tabernacles, which is 7 days.
8 days.
8 days. Sorry, 8 days of that we basically.
We go camping.
Yeah.
God says to leave your home, and the reason you're supposed to leave your home and dwell in booths or tents is another way to translate it. And the reason being is you're supposed to do that to remember that Israel, dwelt in the wilderness for 40 years. And so we're supposed to be looking back and remembering when Israel did that. And we're looking forward to the time when Jesus is going to come back to earth, and he is going to rule and reign here from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. And he is going to dwell with us, or he's going to tabernacle with us. So here's another cool thing to look at. Okay. God created the earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day, he rested. Now, I'm what you would call a young earth creationist. I believe that the earth is only about 6,000 years old. It's almost 6,000 years old. So here's how I look at the earth. Okay. So you have from the time of creation to the first 1,000 years, that would be like day 1. So from 0 to 999 years, day 1. Then from 1,000 to year 2,000 would be day 2. Then year 2,000 to 3,000, so on and so forth. So we're coming up on, I believe we're within 20, 30 years away from year 6,000. So when you roll over from year 6,000, from year 6,000 to year 7,000 would actually be the 7th day, because your first day is from 0 to 1. And then from 1, from time year 1,000 all the way to 1,999 would be day 2. So you're always your day is always a day ahead of what the number is in front of it. So if we're in year 6,000, we're actually in what I would call the 7th year or 7th day of creation, because God said the day is as 1,000 years, and as 1,000 years is as a day. So if God said 7 days, 6 days he created, and the 7th day he rested. Well, we look at 6 days of creation, 6,000 years. And then we know that Yeshua is going to come back and rule for 1,000 years. And that's going to be a time of peace here on earth. Well, then that 1,000 years lines up with the 7th day of rest. So I believe that when Jesus comes back, it'll be around year 6,000, and that, his 1,000-year reign is going to be the start of the 6,000 year, and that will be a time of rest and peace here on earth.
But back to the feast days. So we have the Feast of Tabernacles is in the fall. Day of Atonement is right before that, and Day of Trumpets. So first it starts with trumpets, right?
In the fall?
Yeah.
The Day of Trumpets.
Day of Trumpets.
You have Day of Trumpets, and then 5 days.
Day of Atonement.
Then Day of Trumpets, 10 days later, Day of Atonement.
Yes.
And then 5 days later after that is the Feast of Tabernacles starts.
Okay, so those are the 3 fall feasts. And then you have the spring feast. And the spring feast, actually, like if you look at biblically, they've already been fulfilled.
Jesus fulfilled them.
So you have Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits.
And also Shavuot is in the summer 50 days later. So when Jesus died on the cross, he died on Passover.
Mm-hmm.
So he died as our Passover lamb. Then Jesus was put into the ground at the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Feast of Unleavened Bread lasts for 7 days. And then the Feast of First Fruits is the day after the Sabbath during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So he rose on Sunday morning. Saturday's the Sabbath. He rose on Sunday morning. So he rose on First Fruits. Then on the day on Shavuot, or the Feast of Weeks, the one that's 50 days later, is when the Holy Spirit came in Acts chapter 2. The Holy Spirit came, all the apostles were gathered in the upper room. Well, they were gathered together in the upper room because they were keeping the Feast of Shavuot, and the Holy Spirit fell. Now, the other cool thing is you go back and you study time frames of biblical history. You go back and see when Israel came out of Egypt and they went into the wilderness and they traveled to Mount Sinai. The day they got to Mount Sinai and the day that God gave them the law was 50 days later. So the day that God gave the law, the commands, the instructions at Mount Sinai, when the tablets were written, is the Feast of Weeks. And that's also the same day that the Holy Spirit was given and fell on the apostles. So the Holy Spirit and the law are tied together in that. And if you look at Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 26 and 27, God says, I will take your heart of stone out, and I will give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit in you and cause you to walk in my statutes and my instructions and keep them. So God says he'll give us the spirit to help us walk in his instructions.
So
that ties.
My next question is, are you still here, or have we lost you and confused you? Baby steps, Wells. I know.
Sorry.
That's why I was
see, for me, one of those things, that's one of those things is like when you see, okay, yeah, I know about Acts chapter 2, you know what happened there with the Holy Spirit. And then he's like, well, I didn't know that was this, that day biblically or historically is the day that the law was given. And then when you find out that in the middle of all this, Ezekiel says, hey, I will give you the spirit to help you keep the law. And you find out the law was given here. He said, do this here. This happened here. Holy smokes. It's like, anyway.
So all I have to say that we love the Father. We love Jesus, Yeshua, as we call him. We believe that you should do the whole Bible, not just the end of the Bible. Like, it's the whole thing. So, it is a lot of information. And, we've been in this for 5 years.
5 years.
We've been in this for 5 years.
I grew up in the church. I grew up
learning.
I grew up in the church. I got saved when I was 5 years old, went to church my whole life.
But I will say, especially since you're a female, because this is just my role. So especially since you're a female, Gina is probably still here. I hope she is.
I haven't seen her comment in a while.
So Weetree is a female. Gina, the Almases are on here. Marcy is on here. I don't know who was all commented.
Chrissy was a long time ago. I haven't seen her.
So there are a lot of females on here. I can have Dwells. I can have him put my email in, And you're more than welcome to email any of us. We would love to share with
Lauren.
you.
Gina's there.
Yep, Gina's here and Lauren's there. So we would love to share with you. And if you're interested or you want to learn more or you have questions, it's a lot of information. So, but there's a lot of great women in here that we all talk and learn from each other. So yes, females guide females. I totally agree, Weetree. I live alone here, me and my cats. But some good videos to watch are Truth and Traditions by Jim Staley. And then
the other one, the one that really opened my eyes was the Identity Crisis one.
Is that her?
I don't know for sure if it is or not. Nicole, do you live in California by chance?
He's trying to find you on Facebook.
Because instead of putting her email address on here, I'd much rather say...
you can add me on Facebook. So my name on Facebook will be Cassie Walker Wells.
I found a Nicole Grimes on Facebook in California, and the picture here kind of looks like what your picture there does. It's not the same picture, but there's a big tulips cover background.
Well, I'll just say, okay, so if you want to add me on Facebook,
Says she lives in Indiana. That's not her then.
That's my Facebook. And I can show you the other women that are in the group. But Truth or Traditions, the Way documentary is a super good one to watch. It basically explains why we do what we do, why we walk the path that we walk. Yes, New to Torah is a good place to start on YouTube. If you like somebody who goes straight to the point, who's very blunt. We know Zach personally, and he's pretty good at what he does. So TorahFamily.org is another good one. 119 Ministries. Those are ones that you can look up on Facebook or YouTube. Torah Family. So that probably was her. You should have just showed the picture.
Well, if it is her, she might be like, why did you show that on there if it is me?
I guess, do you care if he shows a picture if it is you? Torah Family is great. That's the Mutra family. Steve is a wonderful
I'm just gonna
teacher.
If that is her, she would recognize. Is that you? If that is you, then Cassie would gladly add you on Facebook if you'd like.
Zach is totally blunt, but he has a big, big, big heart, and he knows his stuff. Okay, so that probably is.
Anyways, one other thing I was going to say was because there's people in the church that would say, oh, those Torah keepers, they're crazy. They've fallen away from grace, this and that, and whatever else.
That's not her picture.
Okay, so that wasn't you. We are not whatsoever at all saying that we have to follow God's instructions for our salvation.
No.
Salvation only comes through the blood of Jesus. That's it. Nobody can get saved any other way except through the blood, his sacrifice. You have to accept, salvation is a free gift, but it is a gift that you have to accept. So don't think we're saying that. We're not saying that at all. Salvation has nothing to do with keeping the commandments at all. But we believe that because we are saved, because of his free gift, that means that we should live the way he wants us to live. We, as Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. Well, Christ lived on this earth. He was God in the flesh. He was a man. He walked this earth, and he obeyed all of God's instructions perfectly. He didn't break any of God's instructions. Now, did he follow all of the commands in the Torah? Well, no, he didn't follow all of the commands because, for one, he's not a woman, and there's some commands that are specifically to women. He was not a Levitical priest, and there's a lot of commands that are specific to Levitical priests and how they did things in the temple. So right there is two examples where it's like, okay, yes, Jesus followed the law perfectly, but he didn't follow all of the law because not all of the law applied to him. Just like not all the law applies to us. She's a woman. She can't follow the laws that pertain to men. I'm a man. I can't follow the laws pertaining to women because they don't. It's impossible for me to do it. I'm not a woman, I'm not a Levitical priest. There is no temple, so there's no way to follow those laws today. Now, when Jesus returns, there will be a temple in Jerusalem, and he says he will choose new Levites and new priests. So again, those things will be followed again, but that's in the future when he comes back.
Practicing Torah is buying oil for the lamp before going to sleep.
Oh, the five. That's a good analogy, Ben. That's talking about like the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish virgins. Or virgins. Virgins, yeah. So I look at it this way.
He likes to talk.
Obeying God's commandments is the fruit of the Spirit in my life. It's how it's how I show Jesus I love him, because he said, if you love me, obey my commandments. So I'm going to show him I love him in the way he asked me to show him that. I mean, just like, you said you were married, we're married. If her love language is, time and words of affirmation, but I only show her love by buying her gifts, she's not going to be receiving love in the way that she is programmed to receive love. I'm attempting to show her love in the way I think she needs to be shown love, but it's not in the way that she actually receives love. So,
hey, he learned something this week.
So the same thing is true of Jesus. Jesus's love language is obedience. He wants you to obey, plain and simple.
Well, we're supposed to be like him, and he followed the commandments. And so he followed the Torah. So why wouldn't we follow the Torah?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't we? And the thing that I look at it is that, okay, say that we're wrong and we're not supposed to do these things. What is it hurting us by doing it and trying?
And I look at it this way.
Because we still believe that we should be saved. I mean, we still believe that you have to have hit salvation. So what are we doing wrong
by following God's
instructions? What he says?
And I look at it this way. God is our Father. He loved us enough to give us instructions that tell us exactly how he wants us to live. As we're parents, we have a son who's 10 years old. We give our son instructions on how to do things, how to live life. Why do we do that? Because we love him. We want to protect him. We want to keep him safe. We tell him, hey, don't talk to strangers. Don't go off in the store by yourself without us. We tell him these things, not because we want to control him and rule over him. No, we love him. We want to keep him safe. We want him protected. It's just
as simple as saying, hey, I'm cooking in here. I don't want you in here touching. I don't want you to accidentally touch the stove. So I don't want you in here while I'm cooking, especially if I'm cooking oil. Well, if he walks in there and starts messing with things and he burns himself on the oil, then he didn't obey me. He didn't follow my instructions. And so now he's hurt. The same thing with us with certain commandments. He says, hey, I don't want you to eat pork. I don't want you to eat these type of food. Well, why did he tell us not to eat them? In my opinion, he told us not to eat them because they're horrible for you and they cause you a lot of health issues. And so by eating them, we're causing ourselves more problems. And so he's trying to protect us to not cause those problems. So he's saying, hey, I made this to clean up the garbage and to clean up the crap on the earth, but I don't want you to eat them.
Because that's not what they're there for.
Because that's not what they're there for.
God designed all animals with a purpose and for a reason. He's the creator of everything. He designed all the animals with a purpose and reason in mind. The shellfish, their purpose is to clean the ocean. Animals like pigs, for example, they clean up the land. They're excellent. I mean, ask a farmer. You send a flock of pigs in, they'll clean up everything. They'll leave the ground bare. They'll eat up anything, the garbage, they'll eat plastic, the whole 9 yards. Well, we shouldn't go and eat something that's been consuming all that stuff, because then that stuff's going to end up inside of us. So I trust God that he created everything. He knows what it's there for. And if he tells me, hey, don't eat this, I'm not going to eat it. If he says, hey, it's okay to eat this, I'm okay with that, you know?
Nicole, I'm really sorry that you've had to go through that. I will say that Gina already commented, she's someone that you should maybe reach out to and help, because she's been there in that type of situation, and that she's somebody that could probably mentor you a little bit.
I can't imagine a husband doing things like that to his wife. That's supposed to be the woman you love and cherish and you're supposed to protect, and you're...
Nope, you're not. That's the thing. We treated it. You're not there. Thank you, Father, that you got out of that situation. Absolutely right.
We know people in Indiana. We know people in Evansville. That's where the Pounders are at. Rick's up in the...
anyhow.
Rick's up in...
If you're
Michiana.
interested, there really are some great women in this group that would love to help you. Even if it's just hey, bounce questions off of, or, to talk to you about whatever. Like I said, if you want to find me on Facebook, or you can put my email in there and she can email me.
Okay. I'll put Cassie's email in here.
And so, you can email me, and then I can get you in touch with the women in the group.
Nicole, let me know when you've got that email, because then I'll go ahead and remove that comment. That way it's not... I don't want her to end up getting spam from that being in there. So maybe copy it real quick, or send her a quick email so she's got it, and then I'll remove that comment, if you would, please. We're at 2 hours and 11 minutes.
I know.
Wee tree. She called it. But anyway, I'm just waiting to see. Nicole said she got your email.
If you can't tell already, we're pretty passionate about the way we feel, and our beliefs. We don't push them on anybody. What you decide to do, what your convictions are your convictions.
Like when I first came in, to realize that, hey,
he was a meanhead.
God's instructions, God's laws were, because I was taught that that's not for today. We don't have to do those things anymore. I was taught we don't have to follow the instructions that God gave. I was taught that by the church, and I was upset because when I realized that, hey, my God loved me enough, my Father loved me enough to tell me exactly how to live, and these men in these churches told me I didn't have to follow what he said to do. I was, first of all, I was sad and hurt that I had ignored my Heavenly Father's instructions my whole life, and that broke my heart, that I was basically breaking his heart. But then at the same time, the other side of it, I was angry that I'd been lied to for so long. So Nicole, 2 comments up should be Cassie's email, and then I'll take that down. But anyways, I was saying I was upset because I realized that I had been taught so many lies.
If you delete it, will it stay off, or will it show up and then be gone later?
If I delete it, it'll stay gone.
Okay.
I was upset that I'd been lied to, and I realized, hey, I need to tell my friends and family this, these ones that were in the church like I was and been taught the same lies I was. But at the beginning, I went about it the completely wrong way. I went about it, like, hey, we've been lied to. Here's the truth. This is what you need to know. instead of saying, hey, you know what? I've realized I was lied to, that the things that I was told are in the Bible are not actually in the Bible. And I went in and read the Bible for myself. And here's what it actually says. Here's where, Jesus said, I did not come to do away with the law and the prophets, but I came to fulfill them. She gave her email address.
Okay.
Do you have it? You can take a picture of it.
I'll take a picture of it.
Yeah, flip your camera around.
I know, I'm trying.
Okay, Nikki, we can see your email address. Cassie's gonna get it. I'm gonna make your comment hide, that way your email is not out there.
Well, unless she wants somebody else's.
Oh, it went through.
We two probably.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and delete yours from up here. Remove.
We'll leave it up for a couple minutes so other people can.
Yeah, if Gina wants to grab that.
Gina wants to copy it.
So, but anyways, I've since realized that, hey, you know what? Nobody's gonna hear what I have to say if I'm coming at them out of anger. And I realized that I've forgotten about love. Jesus said the two greatest commandments are to love God and love your neighbor. And I wasn't doing things very lovingly. So I've, changed the way I communicate and try to remember that, hey, I was lied to. Other people were lied to too. They may not be ready to hear that they were lied to like I was ready to when I heard it, Wheatree said she sent her an email. So thanks, Wheatree. Appreciate it. But anyway, Jesus said, he didn't come to destroy the law and the prophets, but to fulfill them. And then he went on to say that not a single letter would pass from the law until heaven and earth pass away and all is fulfilled. And there will be people that say, oh yeah, Jesus died on the cross. Everything's been fulfilled. Well, that's not true, because there's all kinds of end times prophecies about Jesus coming back and Jesus ruling here on earth. Those things haven't been fulfilled yet. So you can't say that he fulfilled everything when there's prophecies he hasn't fulfilled yet. And then it specifically says right there, until heaven and earth pass away. Well, we know there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth someday. So this heaven and this earth here are going to pass away. But the thing is by the time we get around to the new heaven and new earth, everything will have been fulfilled. And then at that point, when we go into the new heaven and new earth, we are going to be in our spiritual bodies, basically. There will be no need for the law at that point. So then it's okay for the letters of the law to pass away. But the church will tell you, oh yeah, the law of God, that's done away with. No, that's not what Jesus said. And that's when I realized that, hey, the law of God's not done away with. I'm supposed to be following it and I haven't been. That's when it's like that my eyes opened, or as like Paul, the scales fell off his eyes, the scales fell off my eyes. And I realized that I'm supposed to be doing these things and I haven't been, and I need to do them because my God loved me enough to tell me how to live. I need to do what he said. Oh, what'd she say? He also let me in trailer chain. She had to poop in a bucket.
We poop in a bucket sometimes. Well, we don't now, but
we
do dance to go.
We lived off grid for a while, and we had a composting toilet, and it was a 5-gallon bucket that you did your business in, and you put wood chips on it and all that stuff. So
I was trying to see if it was on Facebook. Do you have a Facebook page?
You can't search my email address on Facebook anymore.
Oh.
They did away with that.
Well, when I do, that's what pops up.
Oh, that's why. No.
You used to be able to.
Yeah, they did away with it like a year and a half ago, I think.
Oh, shows you how much I'm on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing.
What's that?
Not having a car.
Oh.
Anyways, do you have any more questions?
Her? You asking her?
Yeah. I'm tired. And I'm pretty sure the dryer went out, which means we have to go to the laundromat.
The dryer went out?
Yep. It's probably the smell I smelled earlier.
Did you check the circuit breaker?
No, I haven't
Did you check the circuit breaker?
No, he hasn't yet.
I'll go check it while you wait and see if there's any.
I really gotta go.
Wouldn't the washer not be going?
I'm not sure. Love you. I'll text you in a little bit. Good night, my friend. Okay, so
Circuit breaker's not flipped.
I'm telling you, it probably was the smell earlier, which is a good thing if it's not working because I don't want it to catch on fire. So, I think that's it. Or did you have any more questions?
Yeah, yes,
I
me
got
too.
it.
She got her email.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if she has no other questions, we're gonna go so I can go look at the dryer, and if we have to go to laundromat, we're gonna have to go to laundromat because I gotta have clean clothes for next week.
Okay.
You know they have laundry stuff at the terminal. I don't know if it's free though. I'm not sure. I doubt it is. You probably have to pay for it.
Well, we at least wash the clothes. So we just have to dry them.
Yeah.
Did you throw all of them in there?
Yeah.
So we'll just have to dry them.
Is eggs okay? Yes.
Yes.
Eggs are fine. And chicken's fine.
Depends on what kind of eggs, right?
Well, as long as it's eggs from a clean bird.
Yeah. Eggs are good. Chicken's good. Beef's good.
Chicken's good. Turkey's good.
And if you haven't had beef bacon's pretty good.
Yeah, beef bacon's the bomb.
And if you can find if there's certain turkey bacons that's actually good that we like.
Like the maple cured one, I think it is. The Walmart one. So.
And if you start looking up stuff as far as like food and stuff, you have to be careful with the whole kosher thing because kosher can mean different things. And some people feel like kosher means like Jewish and Judaism. They believe that you can't have dairy and meat at the same time. And we don't believe that way. So, if you want a cheeseburger, eat a cheeseburger. But no. Roasted duck. Duck is a questionable item.
Yeah, there's some people that say that duck is not a clean bird, and there's other people that say that duck is a clean bird.
We don't eat it.
Yeah, it's not that we're saying it's unclean.
It's just
not that we don't eat. We know people that do eat it, so
it's just not something that we've ever done.
Right. But it's the people that do say that it's clean. They say, if you look, because like in the Bible, God doesn't give like specific instructions on birds. Like, hey, these birds, because like with, land animals, he says it chews the cud and it has a split hoof. Those ones you can eat. But then he specifically says, the swine you don't eat because it has a split hoof, but it doesn't chew the cud. But birds, he says these ones you can eat, and then he says these ones you don't eat. Well, he doesn't list every single species of bird that is on the planet, the plane. But so there's people that'll look at, okay, well, these birds they say that are clean. What are their common like biological characteristics? And these birds, like for example, like all of the birds that you would consider to be like carrion birds, like the ones that like turkey vultures and buzzards and crows and things like that. They're all the ones that are like the garbage pickers and they eat dead animals. Those ones are all unclean. And it's how they digest food is different than other birds. Like, like a chicken has a gullet and its food that it eats gets all crushed up and things like that. Can you eat halal food from the market? I don't know. Halal just usually means it's been blessed by some Muslim imam. Some people would say that, hey, maybe it's been sacrificed to an idol, potentially. I don't know. Don't know for sure. I guess that'd be one of those things where I'd say, hey, pray about it. And see, if you feel like, the Father's telling you, hey, it's okay to eat it, then okay. If not, then, but yeah, for sure, pray over it.
So that's the thing is like the halal food from the market is basically they've prayed over it and blessed it. So what I do sometimes is if I see something that says that it's been prayed over, then I just pray over it myself and just ask that any prayer or any curses or things, prayers that was prayed over this product that they are like gone and not in effect, and that and then I pray over it by the God of Jacob and Abraham and Isaac, the God that we believe in.
You said that
I said it backwards. I know.
So, well, I think we're going to call it a night. It's almost 2.5 hours. This probably got to be one of the longest Dustin and Cassie shows. We try, Nicole, we try to do this every Saturday night. Yeah, it is a certain way they kill the animal. And they also,
It is.
and they pray over it. We have a friend that, was Zach. Was it Zach's sister that used to work in one of those plants? Or was it Zach? No, Zach's sister. She worked in like a meat processing plant up in St. Louis. And like their halal certification is a guy would come in and like pray over everything and then gives him a bill, and that's it, you know. Didn't Philip say like the one meat plant place he worked at, they had like kosher tape that they wrapped around the boxes and then they prayed over it, and then that was considered to be kosher.
Mm-hmm.
But so we don't get into all like the Jewish kosher stuff. I mean, they follow some of the dietary laws, but at the same time, they have all of their like other laws that they've added to. Like God said, do not add to or take away from what I'm commanding you. Well, the Jews, you know, were so bad at keeping God's laws, they created all these other laws. They look at it this way, like here's God's law. We have, you know, here's what God said to do, right? Contained inside this. This, like my hand would be like a fence around, like God says, don't do this thing. God says, don't do here's this thing you're not supposed to do inside. God says, don't do this thing. That's the command is like a fence around it. Well, the Jews kept jumping over that fence, breaking those commands, and they were so bad at it. So then they created more commands. So then they have another fence out here and more commands to keep them away from breaking those commands. Well, God just said, hey, don't do this. Like, for example, keeping the.
I have to go to the bathroom. Sorry.
Okay. Keeping the Sabbath. You know, God says to rest on that day, to not make anybody else work. You yourself don't work. Don't make your manservants, your maidservants work, and even let your animals rest. That's pretty much it. And he says, don't kindle a fire on the Sabbath, which you read that verse in context, it's referring to people that needed a fire for their line of work, like say like a blacksmith or a baker, you know, they would have a fire, you know, for their line of work. Whereas the Jews have added so many other laws, their own rules to the Sabbath, that the don't kindle a fire. They think if you use electricity, you're kindling a fire, because like if you flip a light switch, that spark would be considered kindling a fire. They won't drive a car on the Sabbath because it's a gasoline engine. That's fire. And it's like, that's not what God meant or what God was talking about. So, you know, when it comes into like, you know, the Jewish laws of, you know, like what's kosher, like again, like Cassie said, they don't mix meat and dairy. Because there's a command that says do not boil the kid in its mother's milk, which is talking about a baby, you know, a small goat. Don't boil in its mother's milk. Well, that's a pretty specific command, but they take it to mean that you shouldn't eat dairy along with meat. Well, it's like that's not what God said to do. And you can look at the example of when God met with Abraham before he went and destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham gave God curds, which is cheese, and a fatted calf. So God himself ate meat and dairy together. Okay, sorry with comments here. I'm a good person. I was taught not to judge no one, to be humble person and thankful for all blessings. Samson wants to tell you he has been in houses where he had to wire in Sabbath switches so they can turn all lights. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Philip and Gina said when they were in Israel that the elevator in buildings, the buttons don't work on the Sabbath, and the elevator like starts at the bottom and it stops at every floor on the way up, goes all the way to the top, and then it goes all the way back down again through the floor. So you have to get on wherever floor, ride it all the way to wherever your destination is. And it's like you're making the elevator work nonstop. I mean, it's an inanimate object, so I mean that part doesn't count, but it's like that doesn't even make sense because you're afraid to push a button. So anyways, we're gonna go. We could keep rambling on and on and on. We're gonna cut it off here in 30 seconds. I need to go look at the dryer and figure out what's wrong with it. So we love you all. Thank you all for tuning in. We're here every Saturday night. Make sure it looks like we have 11 people watching. Smash that thumbs up button if you haven't already. It helps the algorithms or whatever else. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you all next week. Stay warm, stay safe, stay blessed. Hope you had a great Shabbat, Sabbath. Good night. Love you guys.
We're probably gonna
Bye,
cut
Marcy.
off on that.
Bye, Samson and Tara. Bye, Wee Tree. Bye, Philip and Gina. Bye, Nicole. Bye, Dallas. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, y'all. Good night.